In your experience, are there many women entrepreneurs that are unsuccessful in sourcing venture? Obviously, there's been a lot of articles recently about women and venture capital, and the percentages are very low, so we know the ones that do actually succeed, there isn't a high percentage. But would you be aware of how many are unsuccessful? Like, do you hear a lot of those stories?
So I wish, Pamo, that there was really good data around the percentage of women who have attempted to raise venture capital versus those who have succeeded. I know that data exists at the angel capital level. So the interesting thing there is that today the percentage of women that are seeking angel capital is roughly 16%. Okay, that's up dramatically over the last even 5 years. It's literally tripled. Wow. In 5 years, from 3-4% to the 16% number. The data also shows that they are achieving funding at literally roughly those levels. So roughly 16% of angel capital today is now going into women-led businesses. Now, let's look at that from the venture perspective. We don't have the data, I don't think it exists simply, as to what percentage of each gender is seeking venture capital. It would be extremely difficult to gather that data. What we do know is what percentage are achieving those numbers, and it's quite small. If you look just at CEOs, it's about 3 to 5% of venture capital. Even if you expand that to include the entire team, any of the co-founders, I believe it's still less than 10%. So there's something happening there. There's a disconnect between those that are gaining angel capital and those that are achieving, venture levels of funding. It may be off by as much as 50%, according to these numbers, or maybe even higher. Mm. So what I can tell you is this: it doesn't make sense to me that the pool of women entrepreneurs who are what I would call venture ready or venture backable, meaning they have the right educations, they have the right skills and experience, and they have the desire, that pool is very clearly growing dramatically. And yet the data shows that the dollars going into women-led companies have actually declined by about 30% over the last 10 years. And I should say that the percentage of dollars going in has declined at that level. I can't explain it.
Okay.
I know it's real, and I think that's a very interesting gap that in some ways creates an interesting investment opportunity for us.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. What do you think that women startups or entrepreneurs need to do to be successful in sourcing venture? Like, what have you seen? Because I have had feedback from different people that it is more difficult for women. Mm-hmm. What do you think are the pieces that really prove success, apart from the general pieces that you've already contributed? Thank you for those.
Well, I think there are several things that women can do in order to have a better result, if you will, in terms of gaining venture funding. One, very simply, is to get the right kinds of introductions into the venture community. That means going to the professionals they work with, their service providers. It could be their attorneys, their accountants, their people that they've worked with in corporate environments, people they know who they went to graduate school or college with. To get an introduction personally to an investor is the first critical step. And many times women feel uncomfortable asking for that and shouldn't. It's fundamental, it's important, and it makes all the difference in the world to an investor who you've been introduced by. Go to the most senior people with the best relationships and ask. So that's a first step. I think another is to not be shy and bashful about representing what the potential of their business is. I have seen women who are so conservative in their figures in terms of prospective revenue of these companies, because, by the way, they don't want to fail. They want to absolutely meet those numbers. At least that's my impression, that they come off as building smaller, less aggressive businesses, when in fact that may not necessarily be the case. I think there's also an opportunity for women to target sectors where they are doing things that are relatively unique, where they bring a perspective that adds value. And I think you've probably seen the data that I have that shows that venture firms that have at least one woman partner are literally 70% more likely to invest in a woman-led or woman co-founded business than those that have none. And so I'm not saying don't ever target a firm that doesn't have women in it, but make sure to have that in the mix. One caveat to that I think is very interesting, it is not necessarily the woman partner who will lead the deal. You have to go to the right partner in the firm who has the skills and experience and interest in the sector that you're building a product or service in. The implication to me, and this is my own interpretation, it's not a bunch of research I've done, is that a firm that has made a decision to bring in a woman partner has made a really big statement. They are committing to have someone they treat as a peer every day in that organization, that they share decisions with, whose investments they're going to back and support, who they've given control of a large piece of the funding of that firm. That, frankly, is a much bigger statement than a firm investing in one woman partner. It's an indication of their acceptance and their ability to work successfully with women.
Great, thank you.